All right, I think we're live. Welcome to Tactical Tuesday. My name is Russell Pearson. Thank you for joining me. Anybody who's watching this in replay, I would love you to put in the hashtag replay. And for those who are jumping live on the call, I'd love to hear your comments and hear what you think about what I'm going to be talking about today, which is all about offer creation. Now, offer creation is that thing where you present something to a potential buyer and they say yes or no. Now, it's a little bit more complex than that, and I want to talk about a number of different areas of the offer discussion. But coming up in the next week, so I think it's next Wednesday, I think that's what it is. Could be next Tuesday, I don't know. We'll have to have a look at the link. You can actually click on this link if you want to see what we're doing next week, which is the offer creation session, which is all about helping you design an offer that wins you better clients and higher fees for your business, whether it be an advisory space, a consulting or a coaching or even a training space, whatever it might be. If you're the trusted advisor, a lot of the time, what I'm finding is that people who are doing work through social media, where they're doing digital offers, are finding themselves coming in a little lower than where they need to sit when they are trying to come in as the trusted advisor and even beyond that. They're coming into this place of product provider, they're coming into this place of service provider, and ideally, if we want to get better clients or we want to have higher fees, we really need to be positioning ourselves to come in as a trusted advisor. And a lot of the time, that positioning is not what most people are doing. A lot of the time, what most people are doing to position is putting out this expert content and trying to build authority. But the actual offer itself can be a huge part of the mechanism that sets you apart and actually sets you as the trusted advisor. Now, the thing I want to talk about today is really about how to really think about the offer creation process, because it's not just tactical. While we are Tactical Tuesday and we are going to give you a bite-sized tactic, it's not just the tactics that we're talking about today. It's also the mindset that helps you to identify the gaps that you may have and the opportunities which are there right in front of you. And it's funny, talking to many clients and prospects over the years, there is this perception that you need to have done all this work before you can have the right to actually offer something of value to somebody. You need to actually create all this authority. But in actual fact, in my experience, that's not the case. It is very much not the case that you need to build yourself as an authority to be able to offer something that people want. In fact, as an old mentor of mine used to say, you can actually create a little dribble of drool that actually drips down the chin. That's ideally the offer you want to create. So I can see a few people on the call today. I'd love you to type into the chat. Let me know that you're here. Then I can see who you are, and we can. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them as we go through the process. But again, as I said in the comments there's a link through to the offer creation workshop, which we're running next week, and I would love you to be part of that, because we're actually going to get down to the specifics and create a lot of detail as far as like what your offer should look like. Now, I want to talk about that authority piece to start with, because there's this perception that you need to get to a certain level to actually craft an offer that's going to be something that people want. And so you go, all right, well, we start here at this point of novice, and some people are coming in at novice. Now, most of the people I work with are actually experts in what they're talking about. They're not coming in at novice. But then there's this like expert position right at the top, and there's a gap between these two spaces. And a lot of the time, the gap is actually in people's heads. There's this perception that they've got imposter syndrome going on. They're not sure if they're good enough to be able to offer the thing. They're not sure if they're going to be able to create the outcomes that they want. And so there's this gap between people. And so what I'm suggesting is that even if you're at novice level, you can actually create an offer that engages people at just as high a level as if you're the expert. And there is a really big, and by big I mean big, really big point to really get into your head about this. And I'm going to write it right here. So are you ready for this? let me get the board ready so I can get really clear about what I'm about to write here. It's not, all right, it's not about you. This is the premise behind all the detail I'm going to give you in this workshop. So the workshop's going to tell you how to craft the offer, but if you come into that workshop thinking that you need to be the expert before you have the opportunity to create the offer, you're not going to create the offer. In fact, you're going to run off and do all these other things. And there is someone I'm speaking to right at the moment, you might even be on this session, where I can see you going out and doing all this work out there, putting videos up, building a YouTube channel, doing all these things, and you know that the work that you need to be doing is actually making offers. And I'm going to be talking about that in the session and actually making it very, very clear, crystal clear and simple as far as the steps to what is the process to make that work. And the big one is, it's not about you. Because if it is about you, and this is a mistake I used to make all the time, if it is about you, then you're going to reduce the effectiveness of your offer. And so let me draw up something else. Number one, it's not about you, all right? Now, where it is about you is this thing that most people think they're doing the right thing, right? They go, all right, we've got someone over here, they're in a problem, right? And we want to get them over to here where they get a solution. Yay! All right, now I talk about this sort of space and this building design sort of thing a fair bit. So there's someone who's got a problem, and we want to get them to an outcome. And they're over here and we're over there. And so what we want to do is, most of the time, I've seen so many people do this, and this is the big mistake, is that they come halfway and they go, now we're going to attract people to come to us. And so they go to this middle ground. Now, I've spoken about meeting people where they're at for years, but for some reason, all the experts and advisors I speak to don't feel that they want to meet the person where they're at. They're like, no, we're going to meet them halfway. We're going to talk to their problems. We're going to talk to their fears, right? But then they're going to meet them halfway by going, here are our expertise, and here are our credentials. Schultz. Here are our credentials, right? And when you do that, when you start to fit like, how am I, as the expert, going to help drag this person kicking and screaming across to the outcome, we actually undermine our entire offer because we're speaking about us. We're not speaking about them. And as soon as we start talking about how we do it, our process, our history, our experience, all the things that we've done in the past, we've literally undermined our offer by, guess what, 50%. So it is now 50% less effective simply because you're talking about yourself. Now that may be a little bit challenging for some people because that means if you've been creating offers that haven't been cutting through, the majority of times it's because you've been thinking about you. Now I've made this mistake myself, and I am constantly finding myself almost making this mistake again, which is that I'll go to craft an offer and I'm like, all right, here's something I can bring to the table because this is something that I've done. Instead of going, you know what? The person's sitting over here and they are sitting over in their fear and anxiety. They're not even capable of thinking about what is the outcome they want. So I need to come all the way over here and I just need to talk to them here. So this is going to be a little talk bubble, right? I'm just talking about them in this current state. And I'm not going to sell all the features, and I'm not going to sell all the benefits, and I'm not going to give all the history of my secret sauce, and I'm not going to do all those things. What I am going to do is speak to them in their language about the thing that they want. All right? And this talks into our wants versus needs issue, which you may have heard of me talk about 100 times. Which is, if we're selling what people need, most of the time, they're not even aware that that's something they need. So we need to educate that audience, which again becomes more about us than it is about them. Now, I've got clients that we have very funny conversations because as soon as I bring this up, they know that they're doing it, where they say, I just want to help these people who don't get it. Right? They're not, and I'm like, okay, so who is this about? Is this about your ego that you can solve a problem that doesn't exist yet? Or is this about them getting to a point where they can realize that what you're going to do is actually going to be helpful? So meeting them where they're at becomes coming all the way over here. Not talking about yourself, not talking about your expertise, not qualifying yourself, right? It's not talking about your magic sauce. It's not talking about your process. What it is talking about is what does the person want right now. And that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about in the session, which is in the link in the comments there, which is we're going to be talking about where is that person in the buying cycle. And each of you are going to have different audiences, which is why that's the reason jump on the call and ask the questions with me, because we can refine it for you and your audience. But it's about an audience. They're buying something from you that's actually going to help them get from here to there. Where are they in that buying cycle? Because a lot of the time we create these offers with a reader in mind. So someone who's reading our stuff rather than someone who's ready to buy. So understanding where they are in the buying cycle is a large part of how we actually go about making that offer. So the thing I want you to get today, and then obviously, is to go and book in for that event, because then I'll give you the detail about it. And what's cool about that event is I'm actually charging for it. Now, normally I do free events. Now, the reason I do free events is because, number one, the last 2 years have been pretty tough, and I think people have needed it. Guess what? It's time to actually get up and get some money now. Now's time to actually get working. So that's one of the reasons. But the other reason is because I'm going to give you some detail in this, which is not about me testing messaging. It's not me leading you into something else. I'm going to give you the specific details on how to craft a message, as long as you have this one step in mind. It's not about you. And as soon as you think, how can I get people to buy this thing that I've created? It's about you. Rather than me going, all right, where are people at? How do I help people make a single step? What is the single step they need to make to get an outcome that they love? And you might actually find that you only sell one tiny little piece of an overall strategy and puzzle, but you help them take the next step and actually get the outcomes that they want, because it's not about you. It's about them. And it's about them, where they are in the situation where they can actually buy. Good to see you, Rose. So it's not about you, it's about them. That's the one thing I want you to get. For everyone else, book into the session. I will see you on the call next week. If you've got questions about this, feel free to actually put them into the chat. I will come back and I will answer them. If they're about the specifics of like putting the offer together, I will just give you that link and you can book into the session. If it's about specifics of your audience and understanding whether like certain offers might work or not, yeah, absolutely. Put those things in there and we can have a chat. Now, the people who can have a chat, the people who are putting their comments in there right now, like Rose and Gordon and others, they are in the Future Proof Business Group here on Facebook, because this is where we went live. Now, you might be seeing this on LinkedIn, you might be seeing this on YouTube, but if you want to get into the live sessions, you're a consultant, an advisor, a specialist that actually helps people usually achieve a transformation of some sort, then you can come and join us at the Future Proof Business Group here on Facebook. And yeah, you can get into these live sessions, and there's a whole bunch of other free events and free resources that you can get here as well. If you are watching on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe, because that's always funny to say. Until next time, stay passionate, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.